So we will take, and if it was called, I'm a double, no. If it was destroyed by the storm, you still may get your homestead exemption. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. If your home was on there and we see it was destroyed by the storm, we will still give you that homestead exemption. But normally, if someone tears down, you go and you say, okay, I'm going to demolish my home. You know, it's an old home or it's a trailer. We're going to demolish it. You will still get a tax bill for land. And that's the difference. This was devastated by the storm. You had nothing to do with that. You're going to get your homestead exemption. Did I make that clear? Because I'm sorry, I did miss it. Yes, sir. You want me to tell you what they did, or you're asking me? It was one of those where I think St. James started with 10%. No, St. Charles started with 10%. St. James started with 7%, but they aren't going to 20. They're going between 7 and 15. And not all the parishes are giving it to everybody. They're making you send in the information to get those 7 and 10%. The criteria to, yes. Yes. Flood water, wind, rain, yes. We're just looking at the total damage, and we're looking at, suppose you had had a $150,000 home, and you're between your adjuster and or contractor saying you had $90,000 worth of damage. That's pretty significant. So, and especially if you're not living in it. If you're unable to live in it, more than likely you're going to get 20%. Some people, I've looked at their homes, I've passed by their homes, the structure itself is still, and I'm gonna give you another thing, and realize for 8 months out of the year, you were in your home. 8 months out of the 12. So if we looked at 66% already of the year, 66.6%, you were already in your home for the year. So for me to just say, okay, well, no, let's give away 35, 40, it's still not feasible. But what we're doing is we're looking at the percentages to try to help as many people as we can. And if you had that devastation of flooding, and we can see the areas. We know the back of Cambridge. We know River Forest. Those are areas that traditionally flood. Now, if you live on River Road in Laplace, you didn't flood. You may have gotten water come through the top. You took a beating. Wind took everything. My dad's house took every vent off the house. So he had water going through the entire house. The entire house is gutted. He's in with me. I think I can give him 20%. You know, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at homes like that to say 20%. Now, if you were flooded and you took a beating from the top, then more than likely, right. Well, I'm saying that because we've seen some of the homes that they lost a few shingles up top, and they still got water damage, and they gutted and they took most of their house out, but they're still living in it. They're still living in it. How do I give them 20% off? I can't. I said, okay, that's about 15%, because I know they're living in their homes. There's a difference between someone living in Baton Rouge, can't live in their home. You still have that structure. You're still living, or you're living upstairs even, because it didn't beat the top. It just came in through the bottom. It's a different circumstance, and we're trying to be fair to everybody, but we do look at a lot of the. That's why we ask for the information. The more information, the better. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, I can't tell that. Yeah, it depends on what's been ripped out. See, and that's where the pictures help us. You know, when we're looking at pictures and we see, okay, entire bottom's gutted out, you know. More than likely, the entire house they're dealing with. Not everybody can live upstairs. You have a family, you don't want to live through the construction work going on. They're living somewhere else, or they're trying to anyways. Anyone else? If not, hopefully my information's up there. Take down the information, take a picture, call. We're in the office. We're gonna help. We answer our phones and we do call back. I don't know what commercial says that, but I've gotten so many people that said, you really do call me back, or you really did call me back. I said, if you call my office, I will return your call. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, so excited to be here. So next we have Miss Yolanda Stokes from the Small Business Association. What's really great is that she's located at the chamber office, right? So I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Hi.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Pastor and First Lady, for providing this wonderful opportunity. I know that I'm contending with the Saints game, so I'm going to talk really, really fast, but I will hope to share some information that you've not heard before, or if you have, that you will share with your friends and family about the Small Business Administration. So I'm based out of Sacramento, California, just to give you a little background on me. I'm one of the first PIOs to raise their hand to come to Louisiana. I absolutely love your state. It is like family every time I come here, not to mention the wonderful food. Of course, it's always during disasters, so that's the downside of it, but I'm happy to come and share information. And I think you guys took me up on the last time when I said we love to talk about SBA, and only because I know that our program changes lives and actually helps whole communities to recover. So the Small Business Administration, we're providing disaster loans not only to businesses, but to homeowners and renters, private nonprofits, such of course as our churches and our schools. So we are a whole community program. We provide disaster assistance in the form of low interest disaster loans. If you are a homeowner or a renter, the interest rate is typically lower than 2%. Right now, that interest rate is 1.563%. If you're a nonprofit, the interest rate is 2%. If you're a small business owner, the interest rate is 2.855%. These terms can go up to 30 years. There's also a built-in 5-month deferment. So we know that our disaster survivors are trying to put ends together, and we don't want them to have to stress about a loan payment out the gate. So there's a built-in deferment in most of our disaster loans. So we want to encourage homeowners, if you have insurance, or if you don't have insurance, there is no obligation to take the loan. We don't want to take some of that fear out of applying for a loan. If you're a homeowner, you're eligible for up to $200,000 to repair or replace your primary residence, and it does have to be a primary residence, can't be a second home or vacation home. That same homeowner is eligible for $40,000 for their content. So homeowner may have eligibility somewhere around $240,000 based on what your individual needs are. And then we don't leave our renters out. The renters are eligible for that $40,000 for your personal property, and that does include your vehicles that were damaged as well. So again, those terms again, homeowners $200,000 for your structure, another $40,000 for your personal property. And then there may be some additional money available because SBA is concerned with you building better and stronger also. So there may be some additional monies available for mitigation measures above and beyond that $240,000. $40,000 for my renters, and for business owners, nonprofits, up to $2 million, same built-in deferments, and these terms up to 30 years. So people want to know, it's the government. What are they looking at as far as my credit? Well, we want to see that you pay your bills on time. You know, we know that a loan is not a perfect fit for everyone, but where we can make that approval, and I can put my loan officer hat on for a few minutes, worked as a loan officer, and in fact, that's how I started out with SBA as a loan officer back in Katrina. And so we were encouraged to approve as many loans as we could. If folks showed that they were able to make that loan payment, we made the loan. And so we want to make sure that you can afford the loan. Certainly, we don't want to put anybody in dire straits. We know that, again, the loan is not perfect fit, but where we can make that loan, we're going to make the loan. And we also know that life happens, right? Disasters happen, divorce happens, death in the family happens, loss of job. And so even if you are declined for an SBA loan, you can still come back after 6 months, because in 6 months, something can change. You can get a second income. Your credit may change. You may pay off some bills that were hindering your credit. So we give you up to 6 months to come back to SBA. And if you're declined for that SBA loan, we're going to refer you to FEMA. If you are a homeowner and renter, you should always start with FEMA, with your registration with FEMA, because there's a bucket of money that's available for you. Sometimes you have to go kind of a roundabout maze to get to those individual buckets, but I don't want anybody to miss out on any money that's out there for you. So homeowners and renters, I encourage you to go ahead and register with FEMA first. You can register with FEMA by downloading the FEMA app, or you can call FEMA at 1-800-621-FEMA. If you haven't already registered, you can also visit one of the disaster recovery centers. Most of the disaster recovery centers also have SBA personnel right there, so it's kind of a one-stop shop where you can talk with FEMA and they'll refer you over to SBA. And if they do refer you to SBA, please complete that loan application. Again, there's absolutely no obligation to take the loan. Many people are worried about taking out the loan because they're waiting on their insurance settlements. And the code word is waiting on the insurance settlement. And so I want to encourage everyone, even if you're waiting on your insurance settlement, go ahead and apply for that SBA loan, because if it turns out that your insurance comes through, you simply cancel the loan, or if you've already got dispersed on the loan, you can just use the loan proceeds to pay off, or your insurance settlement to pay off the SBA loan. So there's no harm in applying. There are no fees involved. There are no prepayment penalties. And so we just want you to know that you do have some options with your recovery and while you're waiting on insurance. Of course, we know the insurance companies are bombarded right now with claims. And so the claim process, the settlement process can be a little daunting. And so people feel like they're kind of stuck. They can't take any action, but I just want you to know that you do have some tools to use in your recovery, and certainly consider the SBA loan as one of your tools. So I hope that I've covered most of kind of an overview. I call it an SBA 101 about our disaster loan program, and certainly right now I can open up to any individual questions. Yes, ma'am. Okay. You have not missed the deadline, and that's an important message. So the deadline actually was extended along with the FEMA deadline. So SBA and FEMA kind of mirror one another. So the deadline is now November 29th. And that's for anyone that had any physical damage. Our business owners, we give them a little longer. But even though we give you longer into the new year, May of next year, we don't encourage our business owners to wait that long. So go ahead. You still have time to apply for the SBA loan. Right. Okay, so the first step would be for you to, now that you know that you have time, go ahead and start that SBA loan application. So SBA, after you complete the loan application, the next step is they're going to kind of do just a preliminary review of your credit and repayment. And then SBA actually has their own inspectors that are going to come out. They call them loss verifiers. So they're going to actually come out and meet with you, or they may give you a phone call, or they may use some of the drone type footage and that type of thing to determine what the value of your home is. But they're definitely going to have a discussion with you about what your damages are, and that's how they determine how much your loan amount can be for. So the first step is to go ahead and complete that loan application, and then you're going to talk with one of our verifiers. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, okay. Right, and that's a good point because the majority, I will tell you that the majority of our loans are approved at that lower 1.5 interest rate. SBA takes into consideration because these are taxpayer subsidized dollars, so they're going to take a look at income, they're going to take a look at credit, they're going to take a look at if you have any monies in the bank, and where the government feels that you may be able to provide a little more of your own recovery monies, that's where the higher rate will come. You won't be declined, you'll just have the higher rate. I know it, I know it. Every disaster we have folks that feel like I've got good credit, I've got a little money in the bank, and you're penalizing me, you know, with this higher rate. But again, this is a government subsidized program, so the taxpayer dollars and the taxpayers actually determine what we can do and how we can offer this low interest disaster loan program. Any other questions for SBA? All right, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and thank you again, the Pastor and First Lady, for hosting us today. I want to reiterate something that both Lucian said and Ms. Stokes, that it's not too late, and that's incredibly important. So make sure to text your friends or tell people. With Lucian, you have to do the change order, I believe, and then the deadline is November 29th, so it's not too late, guys. So just remember that. Next, we have our adjusters here, Mr. Tommy Berthelon.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wanted to be different. I'm an insurance adjuster. I hold a ton of licenses. I'm a licensed contractor. I'm also a registered insurance appraiser here for the state of Louisiana. So I can answer a ton of different questions. When it comes to policy questions, there are some rules that I may not necessarily know that I may answer in a generalized answer as opposed to being specific, just so that I don't maybe cross the line I'm not supposed to. As an independent adjuster, I'm not supposed to be able to make coverage decisions or discuss coverages with homeowners. That would be where a public adjuster would step in. So I may just kind of answer more in general than specific with you, because I don't have your policy, or and I'm not supposed to. So instead of me giving you a bunch of information, what kind of questions do y'all have? Sure. That's a good question, and I may know the answer to that, but here I'm probably not, and so I'm going to answer to you this way. What you'd want to look into, which I think you're referring to as a flood claim. Is that correct? Okay. You want to look into your policy and see if the policy actually covers mold. I completely understand what you're asking me, and because we recorded, I'm trying to figure out how to dance a line. What you would want to, what you're kind of mixing up, I think, is homeowners and flood, and then what you kind of need to look into is, what does the policy cover? So does your policy, for example, if you had a flood claim, which is what most people talk about, gutting at 4 feet. Well, if you had a flood claim, does the flood policy cover mold? So regardless of, based off of your information, if the policy doesn't cover mold, if the ceiling got mold on it from the flood, would flood over mold? You said flood doesn't cover mold. Okay, well, now you shifted on me. You shifted on me. So let's just stick with one track first. So you said flood doesn't cover mold, okay? So they wouldn't owe for the ceiling if there was mold on your ceiling, because flood doesn't cover mold. That's what you're telling me, and what I'm mirroring back and reflecting to what you said. Now, when you're referring to a homeowner's claim, that's a different discussion, that's a different policy, in that, you know, you, at my house, let me phrase it this way, at my house with my policy, I have a responsibility to identify my damages. So if an adjuster comes in and says he doesn't see damages, it's my responsibility to show the damages. So then I would have to prove to my insurance company, hey, look, you see that hole in the roof that I could take a picture of? That's damaged. The adjuster just missed it. That's an easy one to point out, but if there's other damages that I find, I may be responsible for finding that information and proving that to them. Does that kind of help? I believe this is being recorded, which is why I have to use the mic, so I'm kind of watching how I phrase some of this. I don't need an attorney to come after me and lose a license because I was, you know, misphrased something. Yes, sir. Well, you're kind of hitting on a couple different things, so let me try and take them one at a time, okay? I can't speak specifically for your adjuster what your insurance company does, okay? Over at my house, if my fence is damaged, my insurance company, if it's damaged from corner to corner, one whole side, that's depreciated and they won't pay me. It's non-recoverable depreciation. So I only get the depreciated value. Now, if only half of that whole run is damaged, well then there's no depreciation. So at my house, if my fence needs to be repaired as opposed to being replaced, I may net more money in my pocket by having a repair done to half of my fence as opposed to if they replace the whole run, because one is depreciated and one is not. just a second, I will. Okay? If the two appraisers cannot come to an agreement, they each write a position. Most of us would call it an estimate. They would send that to the umpire. The umpire is supposed to look at both of them and call balls and strikes. No, Tom, you didn't have gold-plated wallpaper in your house. You're not getting that. Yes, Mr. Insurance Company appraiser, they just had shingles. You know, you owe for that. And they're just supposed to call balls and strikes. And as long as two people agree on a number, that goes to the insurance company to write a check or move forward. That's just it's a way to step away from the desk adjuster. The fancy term is called alternative dispute resolution. You know, it's kind of in the same family as we've all heard of mediation and arbitration. It's in that family. It's just it's a way to resolve the issue. And PAs and attorneys, you would use it also as a form of trying to put a value on the damages. What you could do is you could do a couple different things. Do you have any photos of the roof damage before it was tarped? Okay, forget what he said. He's gone, right? Have you sent those pictures to your desk adjuster? Okay, and then if your desk adjuster doesn't do something with it there, you can have them send out another adjuster, and they'll pay to have somebody remove the tarp so that they can take pictures and put it back. Okay, the other option is, this gentleman said he has a PA. You could go the route of hiring a PA, an attorney, or if you have a copy of an estimate and your contractor wrote an estimate to replace your roof, now you have a dispute and difference in cost, and you could actually go the route of an appraiser if that would benefit you. Yeah, you have several different options. I would want to get a little more specific detail from you before I kind of pointed you in a direction to where I could point you in the right direction. I mean, I could catch y'all and tell you hire an attorney, a PA, or an appraiser, but you may have other options. Not to cut my throat or the attorney's throat, you might have other options. Yeah, I'll hang around and answer questions. I tend to like to hear myself talk. I'm sorry.
No, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're competing with the Saints game right now, so we just want to be realistic with time. But our speakers will stick around, and as they both said, I know our assessor, he actually answers the phone, as he said earlier, or his team will be there to help you, as well as Ms. Stokes. She has people at the chamber office on Belterre, so you can actually go there and talk to someone in person if you prefer in-person contact, or you can call or email them. And the same with our adjuster here. We will provide their contact information for all of you as well. So next we will have our attorneys speak. We will have Alicia McDowell and Sylvia Taylor. Thank you.
Don't be afraid to ask my deputies any of your questions. Anyone, if you call my office, anyone that answers the phone, they can answer your question. You can still ask them.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today, and I'm going to defer to my colleague, Attorney Alicia McDowell. I'm Sylvia Taylor.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to be short and sweet. I am one of the attorneys of Sylvia Taylor and Associates. Like he stated, a lot of times it's going to come to a point where you're just going to have to hire an attorney, right? So the first question is, when should I hire an attorney? And I'm going to try to work this thing. I don't know where I'm at. Yeah, thank you. Maybe. Anyway, when should I hire an attorney? So we talked about this kind of in a gist of it, denied. So you've been denied. There we go. The insurance companies are playing the blame game, right? It's the homeowners versus the flood insurance company, right? I've had wind damage, but I also have flood damage. I got both. So insurance companies play the blame game. So they deny your coverage. That's when you should hire an attorney. I've been delayed. My insurance company, how many people have not received an insurance check yet? All right. So I've been delayed. Once you provide satisfactory proof of loss to your insurance company, they have 30 days to provide a satisfactory tender, which means they're supposed to supply you with your money, right? I've been underpaid. My contractor came out, said it would cost A, and insurance adjuster came out and said it would cost B, right? So my contractor said it's going to cost $4,000 to replace my roof. I'm throwing out a number. But insurance company says it's going to only cost $400, right? Underpaid. That's when you guys need an attorney. Next step, prescription statute of limitations. You have 2 years to file a claim, okay? A lot of the insurance companies, they know that. They know that you only have 2 years to file a claim. So a lot of times I've heard a lot of people in here say today, I haven't heard from my insurance company. I've sent my information in and they've delayed and I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for an adjuster to come out. They know this, right? They know that. So I suggest to you, make sure on your calendar, everyone knows when Hurricane Ida came, right? August 29th, right? Put it on your calendar, okay? Don't wait until the eve of what we call prescription, what everywhere else calls statute of limitations, right? Don't wait till the eve of August 29th to say, oh, let me go get an attorney, right? You could do it. Someone will take your case, but it's going to be harder, okay? Loss of use coverage. Know your policy. A lot of people do not even know that they have loss of use coverage. How many people are out of their homes still right now to this day? Knowing your coverage, a lot of people do not know that they have loss of use in their policy. Every policy is different. However, loss of use provides coverage for the damage you have incurred. You can't live in your house. You have to stay in a hotel. You have to relocate somewhere, right? You had to pay for food. That's loss of use. Are there any business owners or anyone that owns a business in here? Okay. So business interruption insurance. Again, know your policy. A lot of people do not know that they have business interruption insurance within their policy. I'll be quick on that, but basically you have to create and keep an accurate record of how much you've lost. What is, you've heard me say this, satisfactory proof of loss? Satisfactory proof of loss is defined as information provided by the insured, by you, to the insurance company, providing proof of damage, right? You got a contractor that came out and said it's going to cost me this amount of money. You have your adjuster, or you hire a public adjuster, or you hire someone else to show the insurance company that you have damage. That is considered satisfactory proof of loss. Once you've provided the insurance company with that satisfactory proof of loss, they have a duty to you. You've paid your insurance company. You've paid your policy all this time. They have a duty to pay you. There's laws. Everyone has to follow them, even the insurance company. And if they don't, there's such a thing called penalties. Penalties can be in the form of attorney's fees, etc. An amount to exceed 2 times the damages sustained or $5,000, whichever is greater. Ultimately, it is up to the court to decide those penalties. But if it's shown that the insurance company has not acted fairly to you and has not adjusted your claim promptly, and specifically they don't have a reason as to why they've done that, then they're in bad faith. I'm sure you guys have heard this. So make sure we calendar those prescription dates, but you also calendar, I've sent satisfactory proof of loss to my insurance company and they still have not provided me with my tender, right? An agreeable amount that should cover me for at least some part of my loss, right? Other important laws, a lot of people have heard this, Directive 218. A lot of the insurance companies are saying, oh, well, it wasn't a named, it wasn't, you weren't ordered to evacuate right away, right? It wasn't a mandatory evacuation, so we don't have to cover your loss of use. Well, the insurance commissioner said, yes, you do. Let me get through one more thing and I'll get to you. So they have a duty to provide you for loss of use. Another rule that the commissioner said is with reference to cancellations. The insurance company can't just cancel your insurance in the middle of a hurricane. Some people have had this happen to them. In the middle of the hurricane, their insurance company canceled them. We've had clients come to us already for this, believe it or not. Lastly, this is a long law, but basically it goes into how flood water should be marked, and you can look at that later. We'll provide that to you. Some takeaways. Insurance companies are all about making money by finding reasons or excuses to deny your claim and to avoid paying your insurance benefits. As I stated earlier, you've paid your insurance company for years. They have a duty to you. Know your rights. It's okay to get a second opinion. A second opinion may be hiring a public adjuster. It may be hiring an attorney. That is your right. Don't get discouraged and stay strong. All right, and I'll answer any questions.
No, I don't need it.
Well, like I just said, it depends. It's ultimately up to a trier of fact. When you hire an attorney, we will send demands to the insurance company. If they still do not pay, we file a lovely thing called a lawsuit, right? And so the courts will tell them, you've in fact violated this rule. You were supposed to pay within at least 60 days, and you still didn't do so. Then they'll attach penalties to them. Well, it depends. The law is and I'll go back to it because we have laws, right? The penalties are attorney's fees. That's one thing. You say that again? Less than what? Well, but that's when it's up to the court, the judge, the good old people that you hire in the 40th J. That's who determines your penalties. But a lot of people are not aware of this. With these insurance claims, they are doing something like they did in Lake Charles, which is they have what's called mediation. He had alluded to it. Right now, there's two companies called MAPS. MAPS and another mediation group that have been assigned to mediating hurricane claims. Right now, it's only at $50,000. So if you have $50,000 or less worth of damage, then they will mediate your claim. I do recommend you still have an attorney for that process because they will speak for you on your behalf. Okay. Mm-hmm. You said a relocation penalty? Well, I can't speak to why it wasn't called or not, but I can tell you that Oh, I can't speak to that at all. But I can tell you that the Louisiana commissioner has made and put the insurance companies on notice. Yeah, yep. And guess what? That's when you file a lawsuit and they have to answer to the judge. They have a duty. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Mhm. It depends on your policy. Again, you have to know your policy, what is in within your policy. We, as attorneys, me and Sylvia Taylor, we do not charge you to look at your policy and let you know your rights. So if you wanted to have us take a look at your policy, there's no obligation to hire us. Yep.
One thing to keep in mind with the mitigation, I keep saying
Mediation.
Mediation is you have to sign a release.
Yes.
So if you're going to go into that mediation, you better make sure you have your numbers and you're on point, because you only get one bite at the apple.
Did everyone hear that? Okay. So that is an option to you. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying if you know that the damage to your property is worth less than $50,000 and you're still waiting on the insurance company, that is an option for you. Any other questions? Nope. All right. MAPS. I'm not sure of the other group. It's two groups. MAPS, MAPS. Yes. Any others? Did you have a question, sir? Okay. Yeah, I can't per se answer your question with reference to insurance going up, but I will tell you that there are resources to you, available for you, and it's through the insurance commissioner. If you want to file a complaint, you can do so. I think I had it up there earlier, but I can provide you with that website so you can get that website to make a complaint. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't answer that question. I mean, it sounds like you may need to look for other insurance, but again, yeah, again, but again, that's a question for the Louisiana Insurance Commissioner. You can file a complaint. Yeah, and that's the website, www.ldi.la. You're welcome. Mm-hmm, sure. That sounds a little funny to me. I would definitely take a look at that. Are you sure you're not confusing it with your deductible? Okay. I would have to take a look at that. Yeah, I'd have to take a look at that for you. Yeah. All right. There's no other questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging with us through the Saints game. Whoa, that's impressive. And thank you to Pastor and First Lady for hosting us. As all of our speakers mentioned, they have teams that are available to help you. So they're not here alone, and they heavily rely on their teams to answer your questions. So please do reach out to them. We'll provide all of the contact information. We can post it on Facebook or however you prefer to get the info. But everyone's here to help you. One thing I do want to mention, someone mentioned being underinsured, and I saw that the St. John Long-Term Recovery Group was activated. I don't know if you want to mention that.
Yes, real quickly. For those of you that are either uninsured or underinsured, we've activated the St. John Parish Long-Term Recovery, and what we do is you can call and request assistance. We work with business partners, Catholic Charities, United Way, and others to try to help those who are uninsured and underinsured to rebuild after a storm. We give out grants that can go towards building supplies and other things based on the need. But every case is given over to case management, and case management to look at your income, look at what you received, what you didn't receive, and determine the unmet need. And once the unmet need is determined, that's when this long-term recovery steps in and assists that family. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am. Come on. Well,
I thought y'all forgot about it. So good afternoon. My name is Maybelline Jolivet. I am a voluntary agency liaison for FEMA. We work closely with nonprofit, faith-based organizations, volunteer organizations to identify resources to support the long-term recovery group and the recovery efforts of the survivors. We kind of want to encourage you guys, whether you have insurance or not, to apply prior to the FEMA registration deadline on November 29th. Like Ms. Alicia talked about, loss of use. If you have insurance and you exhaust your loss of use, you can come to FEMA to get additional funds for loss of use. If your insurance doesn't cover something, or you do have coverage for personal property and they don't pay out, you can come to FEMA to see if you can get assistance. We are here if you guys have general questions, if you need to know what the DRC is so you can receive in-person assistance, receive assistance on appeals, submitting documentation, whatever it is, we are here to support. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer now in regards to FEMA? Yes, sir. If you are eligible, it is up to based upon your FEMA inspection. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you are underinsured, yes, sir. No, sir. Your yearly income does not matter when it comes to FEMA. Now, if your yearly income determines you are eligible for an SBA loan, then you may have to take that loan. So it just depends. So sometimes you can be eligible and SBA denies the loan and you're referred back to FEMA. However, if you qualify for SBA, then you are not referred back to FEMA. You will not be able to receive assistance for personal property, and transportation, and the group flood insurance. And I'm sorry, this is our individual assistant, Smee. She's a subject matter expert, so she can answer some questions as well. Yes, sir. We have some flyers in the back we're going to pass out to everybody. We have a flyer for how to file a complaint with the insurance commissioner, and a few other flyers that we want to pass out to everybody. Again, my name is Maybelline. We are in the back. We can answer any questions that you guys have. If y'all need any guidance on anything, just get with us back there and we can provide any insight or guidance as needed. Thank you. And I am going to let her speak.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that if you have received a letter from FEMA and you don't agree with that decision, it is your right to appeal that decision. We just need a letter in writing, letting us know that you don't agree with that decision, why you don't agree, and provide your supporting documentation as to what your losses were. We have some standard guidance, but every case is different. So if you have any question, you can just let me know so I can gather your information, look for the case, and just let you know what it is going on your particular case. Does anybody has any questions? Okay. Okay, no problem. I just want to point out about the ownership and occupancy. I know that's something that is going on right now. So you might be receiving some letters saying that you're not eligible at this time. Some of these letters is just letting you know we need support and documentation. We just need extra documents for occupancy, just to make sure you reside at that property that was your primary residence. And if you're a homeowner, we just need to make sure that you are the owner so we can provide that assistance. So please don't disregard the letters and just reach out to FEMA so we can assist you. Okay. Yes, we do provide generator reimbursement. We do have a time frame. In this disaster, the requirement for medical assistant, that was one of the requirements in general, it was waived. So if you just needed to buy a generator, there was a time frame. I don't remember right now, but I can check that for you. And it's up to $800 for the generator reimbursement. Any other questions? Okay. No problem. Just let us know if you need any assistance.
Pastor, I think I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you, guys.
Well, again, let's thank them. Let's thank all of them, especially Sylvia and Ashley, their law office, for coordinating this in Aspen. Thank you so much. And we competing against the Saints game, so thank all of you for coming and supporting them. And again, if you have any questions, you can talk to them or you can reach out to their staff. Have a wonderful day, and we hope the Saints will win. Great.